What NBA players bought with their first check. It's no secret that NBA players are paid well. The average player will earn almost $8 million a year, and that's not including the stars who can cash in upwards of $100 million every calendar year. Throughout their career, money is a non-issue for these athletes, but when they're just starting, the sudden influx of cold, hard cash opens a whole new world. So here today is how NBA players spent their first paycheck. But before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're new, so you can keep up to date with Sports Only's latest and exciting content. Many aspiring athletes don't grow up wealthy. In fact, often it's their poverty that drives them to be successful. But when that day finally comes and they're offered that lucrative contract with a signing bonus that can reach in the millions, everything changes. No doubt it's exciting, but it can also be very overwhelming. So how do these newly risen athletes spend their money? Are they smart or impulsive? Are they sentimental or generous? Let's take a look. Amar'e Stoudemire. Amar'e Stoudemire played 15 seasons in the NBA on teams like the Phoenix Suns, the New York Knicks, Dallas Mavericks, and the Miami Heat. In 2015, he was ranked the 7th highest paid player in the league, raking in $26.4 million in that year alone. Despite being a millionaire now, Stoudemire grew up in a stable home that didn't have much. When describing his first pay from the NBA, he said, "When I got the first paycheck and I saw all those zeros, it was like $300,000. I thought, man, this is like the Richie Rich movie. You wake up and now you're rich." The prospect of a high income had influenced his decision to skip college and go straight to the NBA. He rationalized the decision, offering, "I wanted to make sure I was able to take care of my family." And that's exactly what he did. He decided to spend it all on a few gifts for himself and his family. In addition to getting some new clothes and jewelry, a truck, and a nice apartment, he bought his mom her own house and took his brother shopping. When asked about these decisions later, he merely said, "When you see tears in your mother's eyes and the joy in your brother's face, those moments only come once in a lifetime." Shaquille O'Neal. O'Neal, who played for 19 seasons before retiring in 2011, earned hundreds of millions of dollars throughout his career. He was also infamous for his lavish spending. Despite becoming more sensible later in life, his first paycheck went the same way most of them did. Within an hour of signing his first professional contract in 1992, Shaquille O'Neal had already blown through $1 million. The star's first purchase was a $150,000 Mercedes-Benz for himself, but he immediately followed that up with a matching one for his father and a smaller one for $100,000 for his mother. The rest of the money went towards paying off his mom's house and doing, as he said, what all the homeboys do. Gotta buy rings and diamonds and earrings and this and that. The thing he didn't think about, though, was he owed taxes on the money, and a few days later he found out his bank account was in the negative. Needless to say, he learned a valuable lesson. Harrison Barnes. Barnes, who was drafted 7th overall in 2012 and earned a $2.8 million salary as a rookie, did his research before making his first purchase and chose a more practical pathway to spending his money. "The first thing I bought was a really nice bed," Barnes explained. "For me, growing up, really having a nice bed was something that I always wanted." He added, "I definitely tried out every bed in the mattress store. It was like Christmas. You have the ability and are fortunate enough to be able to choose whatever you want, which was new for me. Usually, whatever store I walked in, I'm buying the cheapest thing possible, if that. So to be able to go into a mattress store and say, I'm going to choose the bed I want to sleep on, and chose one of the nicer ones, that was pretty cool." Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson, nicknamed The Answer, played for the Philadelphia 76ers and Denver Nuggets in a career spanning 15 years. Like most NBA players, Iverson splashed out big and treated his huge entourage with gifts, cars, holidays, and experiences well beyond his means. Like any entourage, they bled him dry. At one point, Iverson listed his monthly income at $69,000, with expenses over $400,000. Sensing his spiraling savings balance, Iverson made a decision in 2001 that would ultimately save him from his future self. he signed a very unique endorsement deal with Reebok. In addition to paying $800,000 a year for life, Reebok also set aside $32 million in a trust fund that Allen would not be able to access until he turns 55 in the year 2030. Andre Iguodala. Andre Iguodala's first NBA contract was $9 million over 4 years. When explaining his first pay to Wealth Simple, he said, "You get an advance over the summer, and just before the draft, you get an advance for trading cards and an advance for a shoe contract. I remember a loan agency floating me until I got the advances. They sent me a check for $25,000. The Golden State Warriors star, who was 20 at the time, bought a whole bunch of pairs of Jordans, he said. I spent like $2 or $3 grand, and it felt like I spent $1 million. I didn't know how to spend money." Udonis Haslem. When Haslem was first signed to the Miami Heat in 2003, his financial situation was an absolute mess. His credit was almost non-existent, he had late payments, delinquent and overdrawn bills, and he was at risk of being evicted from his apartment. Signing a $2.6 million contract was enough to almost instantly reverse Haslem's poor money management. The first thing Haslem did was pay off all of his outstanding debts and hand control of his finances over to a financial planner who managed his on-time payment of bills and expenses. Since then, Haslem has proven that by living on a modest budget of only $60,000 a year, stashing the rest in savings and investments. Klay Thompson. Though it's a fraction of what the basketball star earns today, especially after signing a 5-year, $190 million contract with the Golden State Warriors in 2019, Thompson can still remember the number on his first NBA check, $35,000. It was incredible. It was more money than I could ever think of, he recalled. Thompson, who was 21 when he was drafted to the NBA in 2011 and selected by the Warriors as the number 11 overall pick, earned a little over $2 million in his first season. The first thing he bought was a simple pool table that he still has to this day. Even today, after nearly a decade in the league and having collected 3 NBA championships with the Warriors, I'm pretty simple, Thompson said. My tastes aren't that extravagant. He's learned to be intentional about what he buys. An early money mistake he made was filling his closet with unnecessary clothes to keep up with the NBA styles. I'd only wear about 5% of the closet. Ultimately, wealth is a mindset, he said. If you have any relationship and experiences around you, those are priceless. That's better than any car or big house you can get. Kobe Bryant. When Kobe Bryant signed his first pro contract with the Los Angeles Lakers in 1996, it made him a millionaire virtually overnight. The 3-year contract would pay $3.5 million. Bryant was 17 at the time, straight out of high school. He would go on to earn a record $680 million over the course of his career, which gave the now retired player a unique perspective on wealth. One of the first purchases was a rather extravagant one. Kobe walked into a Ferrari dealership, and despite the salesman's snobby attitude, Bryant pointed to the 458 Italia and wrote a $329,000 check on the spot. Today, Kobe Bryant has a net worth of around $500 million. Even post-retirement, he earns an annual salary of $25 million. In 2016, Bryant earned roughly $26 million from endorsements. The basketball star was the highest paid athlete in the history of team sports that year, according to Forbes. By the time he retired from basketball in 2016, he had a total career earning of $770 million. LeBron James. LeBron James is a bit of a conundrum. On the one hand, he is one of the greatest basketball players of all time. On the other, he can be known to be quite frugal and, in the words of Dwayne Wade, the cheapest guy in the NBA. But before all the success, fame, and fat stacks of cash, way before he was drafted by the Cavaliers and before he signed his first shoe deal with Nike, LeBron's mom actually took a $50,000 loan leveraged from her son's future potential earnings to buy him a 2003 Hummer H2 for his 18th birthday. LeBron was the number 1 overall pick right out of high school by the Cleveland Cavaliers in the 2003 NBA draft. His new paycheck allowed him to deck out the Hummer with a custom sound system, 3 TVs, and a Sony PlayStation 2. He sold the car in 2013 for around $64,000 on eBay. Michael Jordan. Widely considered one of the greatest ever stars of the modern game, Michael Jordan holds some enviable records that stand even to this day. The legend played in a time prior to salary caps and earned some staggering amounts compared to the rest of the league, even by today's standards. In the 1997-98 season, Jordan made $33.1 million. It's still the highest single-season NBA salary ever. At the time, the salary cap was $26.9 million, and the average NBA team payroll was $32.7 million. There was no maximum salary rule, and teams were allowed to go over the $26.9 million salary cap in order to re-sign their own free agents. So, in the summer of 1997, Jordan signed a one-year, $33.1 million contract that would be impossible under the maximum salary rules that were established in response to the contract in 1999. Jordan's 1997-98 contract was insane in retrospect. His salary alone was more than the entire payrolls of 19 out of the 29 NBA teams that year. If the same rules were in effect today, Jordan's salary would be worth $66.6 million, based on adjusted average payroll numbers. $66.6 million. As soon as Jordan was drafted by the Bulls, he signed a deal with the Chicago area Chevy dealership to do a series of commercials, and got a deal on his first star car, a medium gray metallic C4 Corvette, license plate MJ23. While his tastes got decidedly more European in the coming years, Jordan had a fondness for the Vettes, also owning a 1990 and 93 ZR1s, as well as a 1994 model. The GOAT is still the highest paid former professional athlete, pulling in an eye-watering $100 million a year from royalties from his famous shoe endorsement, the Air Jordan. That was how NBA players spent their money at the onset of their fortune. Fortunately, not everyone becomes a statistic, where they once had it all, then became broke. There are those who are flashy with their cash, and those who are smart, and a whole lot who take care of their families. If you enjoyed this video or learned anything new, please give us a like and let us know in the comments how you would spend that kind of money. Check out our other videos and subscribe to be part of the fun. Click on that notification icon so you can see our regular videos as soon as they're uploaded. That's it for now.